Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by SevenSistersHomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am here all on my own today because I had a question about dealing with teens' discouragement. So sometimes teens, because they're humans, will feel discouraged about their academics or about themselves or about their friends, because we all get those moments. So we want to talk about some ways to helping teens deal with the discouragement that they may run into. So let's jump right into it. So one of the things, since we're homeschooling high school, that teens experience discouragement in really often is in difficult academics. I mean, really, anybody would get discouraged if they were having pre-calculus or algebra 2 or geometry, things that they didn't understand and they were feeling stuck at. And it's easy for them to start believing that they're stupid or that there's something wrong with them, that they can't do this academics. And so they feel down. And then when you're down and discouraged, you don't feel motivated and it's hard to get things done. And we've all been there, right? And so here, when you've got a teen that you've noticed they're stuck on their schoolwork and they're expressing discouraging things, this is what we want to do: is stop what we're doing and make eye contact and let them tell you about their discouragement. Give them a little bit of time just to say ridiculous things like, I'm the dumbest person in the world, I can't do this stuff, and let them kind of get a little bit of that out of their system. And then what we want to do is help them find their positive. So don't correct them, help them find their positive. So help them remember the last time that they were enjoying something academic, like, hey, remember, math was hard, but remember when we were doing, addition back in the old days, it wasn't so bad then. Let's just take a break then and we'll recalibrate tomorrow. So help them to remember there is some positive, even if we had to go back in time, and then, get a reboot. So sometimes you need a day or two off. I know our friend CJ at Homeschooling Through High School talks about some days you just need to just say, okay, I'm stopping and we are going to go, take a drive around, or we're going to go do a field trip instead of this tough academics for the moment. And then when you're ready to start back up again, sometimes teens, when they're discouraged with a subject, need you just to sit and handhold a little bit until they get over the bump, and to remind them, okay, we can do this. We will do it together, or we'll find the resources, but we can do this. And that's like, teens need to know that they don't face tough things on their own, that you are there to support. Now, sometimes it's something, like if you've got science labs or really tough math, or, just something that is overwhelming that it's just not in your wheelhouse to do, then let's get a tutor or a co-op, or, like swap out some things with another mom and let that mom do the subject with the teens. Or sometimes they can work with their peers. If they have another homeschool friend that likes math, okay, that they could sit and do it together. So we want to think out of the box and help them find some ways to do the more discouraging, hard things. Sometimes, though, they are doing an unnecessary thing that it just needs to be dropped. So let's say you've got a teen who is, they're going to graduate, they're going into a trade school, going into the military, going to college as a literature major. They may not need to be doing pre-calculus. And sometimes when they feel discouraged, it's time to kind of revamp the curriculum and find a more useful topic. So like financial literacy instead of pre-calc, because you don't have to do everything just because it's available to do it. And so you can scale back for teens that have the flexibility to do that. Now, teens who are like Harvard bound, they're aiming for a real competitive college, then, if they're discouraged in their academics, then you hire a tutor. Or you get some other expert to walk alongside with you, do a dual enrollment or something, and make that reboot on the course that way. If a teen is feeling discouraged because life isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, like by now I should be yada yada, or I really wanted to do this and this isn't happening, and so they're just feeling down. That's part of normal life. We all hit that, like we planned for this and this happened. And I always say for us moms, a mom's mind plans her way, but God directs our paths. And sometimes God's paths go different directions. So when our teens are feeling discouraged about where life is right now, and it's not what they were planning or hoping for, help them to look for what is good at the moment and tell them that in the future it will be better. So you do two things, the moment and the future. Like, yeah, we are disappointed in what's happening right now, but we are going to get through. And right now, we've got enough to get by. We've got food and clothes, and we're going to get through this part. And in the future, things are going to be better. So it helps them to watch you and to see in your face that you are surviving the present, and that you believe that God has plans for your future, that you have good things coming along, and so do they. So that learning to do the present and the future in faith and hopefulness. So you can't really lecture that into the kids. You help guide them through it. So in the present, what's good enough right now in the present, even though we're disappointed in how things are going. Okay. I mean, it doesn't mean we feel good about it. It just means we keep our brains and our souls healthy. And then what in the future can we be hoping for? And that's how we get through present and future, even when it's a discouraging time. Sometimes teens are discouraged with their friends. The teens sometimes will go through, especially, in their group situation. So if they're in youth group at church or co-op, or, some activities together, and sometimes friends change. And they will feel discouraged because friends seem to be going off in this direction and our teens are going this direction, and they don't understand, like, what on earth happened. And that is a really hard thing to do. I know, even for us moms, when friendships change, that life kind of has those kind of things. It feels discouraging. So we need to let them process that out. Like, Mom, this feels really bad. I don't understand what happened, this and this and this, and let them kind of process through and be with them through that. You can help them understand if there is something that they are contributing in a negative way to their relationships, like if they're always bossing everybody around or having temper tantrums. Those are skills that they can learn to modify themselves through the fruit of the Spirit, the self-control. And so those are things y'all can work on together. But sometimes it's just friendships go in different directions, and to tell them, walk through with them that they are good people, and there are lots of friends that they will have in the future, and we will get through this time together. So again, the present and the future, like, this is weird and this is discouraging, but you still have these friends, or these are some acquaintances, or these are some activities, or these are some circumstances that are good enough right now. And in the future, you're going to build a whole network of really awesome people. So hang in there. And teens they may seem a little irritated with you, but they'll hold on to that, and it will be part of them getting through this time. Then one of the things you want to think about too is sometimes when discouragement gets stuck, it can turn into depression or anxiety for any human, but especially teens, because they have less life experience and they have all the adolescent hormones going on. And, it's harder to sometimes bounce back from the discouragement, especially if there's been several in a row where they just keep getting hit with this discouragement and that discouragement. And so, if you notice that your teen is really, really lethargic, if they feel like they're not interested in anything, if they are crying a lot, sometimes kids won't cry, they'll just kind of be sullen and isolate themselves. Um, you watch for those things and you go like, this may be going beyond discouragement and being a little depressive episode. And in that case, you go talk to the family doctor, or find a counselor. And the family doctor has resources to connect them to a counselor. Or there's lots of good counselors in the area, hopefully where you are, or online these days. Because the thing is depression, especially when it is based in discouragement, we don't want it to take root. Want it to get taken care of instead. And it's good to be healed and whole and feel hopeful. And so those resources are there. So as my one of my other hats in life is I am a licensed professional counselor, and I work with young people, and it just feels so good to watch them be free, from those depressive episodes that come because life just gets rotten sometimes. So anyway, so those resources are available and good things. And then lastly, one thing a mom can do when there is discouragement is creating positive events, to just stop when you can on the weekend, and just go do something that you don't normally do with the teens. And a lot of times what teens do, if you take them, on a new field trip or a different activity, they will act grumpy about it. Like, why are we doing this? Why do we have to do this? Especially if they're feeling kind of discouraged. They may have kind of like a black cloud hanging over their heads. But what happens when they go do something that's not the normal activity, when you get home, your brains release oxytocin. That's a healing and bonding hormone. And so their brains had something else to do for a while and get that little zap, of positive hormones when they get home. And so try to think of something out of the box, look in your local newspaper or online for activities on the weekend, or state parks or museums, or nature trails or whatever, and just go do something you don't normally do. And at least you can do that. You can't make the world all better for our teens. We can't make the math lessons go away, but we can inject a little positive here and there. Okay. All right. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to throw them out in our Seven Sisters Homeschool Facebook group. Especially if you're feeling discouraged, or your teens are feeling discouraged with a curriculum or a subject, or life in general, like, and get some encouragement from all your seventh sisters and siblings in the Facebook group, because it's just an encouraging bunch of people. So join us over there. Okay, this has been the Homeschool High School Podcast, brought to you by sevensistershomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thank you for checking in with us each week. Also, if you get free, go and leave us some reviews or stars wherever you listen to your podcast, so that other people can find us. And thank you, Seth, for editing. And we will see you all next week.